Hey there. I'm excited to announce this to you today. This is what you've been waiting for in your spiritual quest. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm finally ready to announce it that it's ready to go. It's the Grief to Growth Community Circle. Now, this is a sanctuary where like-minded souls are united in their journey through grief and towards personal transformation. It's more than just a place. It's a beginning. It's a commitment to growth and understanding. Here you're finding not just a community, but you're entering a circle of trust and depth. You're going to engage with interactive coursework. You'll dive into exclusive podcast episodes and partake in discussions that illuminate the path from mourning to empowerment. This is a realm where every question is honored and every individual's journey is validated. To be part of this exclusive circle, visit us at grieftogrowth.com/community or look for the chat icon at the bottom of every page on the main website. Remember that entry is a privilege because I want to ensure that every member is as dedicated and genuine as you are. You must apply to join, but the journey within is worth every step. So go ahead and join us today. Check it out, grieftogrowth.com/community, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Hi there. Welcome to the Grief to Growth podcast. Your host is Brian Smith, spiritual seeker, grief survivor, and life coach. Brian believes that the worst tragedies of life provide the greatest opportunity for growth. Brian says he was planted, not buried, and he's here to help you grow where you've been planted. In each episode, Brian and his guests will share what has helped them to survive and thrive. His sincere hope is that this episode helps you today.
And now, a brief word from our sponsor. When I decided I was going to do a podcast, I knew there were more moving parts than most people expect. How do you record a podcast? Where do you host it? How much will it cost? Do I need special software? How do I distribute it? All these questions were in my mind. I was all set to go with another podcast hosting company. Then I heard about Anchor. I believe that Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place. You can use it right from your phone or from your computer. Anchor is not only free, you can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Anchor's creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's Anchor, ANCHOR.FM as in FM radio. And now, back to our episode. Before we get started, I want to say a little bit about this bonus episode. The bonus episodes will be going mainly to the Patreon site in the future. So first, I want to thank my two new patrons, Leslie and Margie. Thanks for your support. I appreciate it very much. And if you're wondering what a patron is someone who supports the podcast financially with a small monthly contribution. And you can do that at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/grief2growth. When you become a patron, you get access to exclusive material. You get a chance to ask me questions on the Patreon site and the possibility of one of your questions being featured in a future bonus episode. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and I will see you soon. Hey everybody, this is Brian Smith with Grief to Growth, and today we're recording a bonus episode with Heidi Craig. If you didn't see it, actually her episode's going to be coming out this Tuesday. By the time you see this, it'll be out. And we had a really great conversation about her near-death experience, the challenges in her life she'd had before that, her challenges she'd had after that. But we didn't get a chance to talk much about her book. And I want to talk about Heidi's book today. And I also want to talk about the subject of affirmations and gratitude, because this is a subject that's frankly pretty new to me and something that I kind of struggle with. So I want to talk to Heidi about what her perspective was, talk about her book and what she learned from her near-death experience. So welcome back, Heidi.
Hi, good morning, Brian, and thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah, like I said, I had a really great conversation with you last time. I felt like we had to kind of cut it short because we had such a great conversation. And I really wanted to talk about, again, I want to talk about your book. I know you said it's a short little book, but it sounds like it's pretty powerful. So tell me about it.
It is. It's a little book of affirmations, and I mean it's little. It's 50 pages, and half of it is like a synopsis about my life before my near-death experience, what happened during my near-death experience, and then a little bit of my life afterwards, and how I turn the messages that I received during my experience into affirmations. And so I say that it's a little habit that makes a huge difference, and it does, but it's like anything in your life, it takes practice. Mm-hmm. So you have to do it consistently to turn it into a habit. I think it is 21 days that you do something, and then it becomes a habit for you. And it's interesting because you said it's challenging, and it is challenging in the sense that we have this negative self-talk. Mm-hmm. And so we have this chatter in our own minds. Like, I look in the mirror and go, oh, I need to lose 5 pounds. Well, it's taking that and turning it into a positive. So every time you have a negative chatter that pops up, mm-hmm. at that point, you want to consciously, in the moment, stop yourself and say something positive. But I had this body, supported 3 beautiful little beings that, mm-hmm. My life would be nothing without, right. This body produced those 3 little guys. So you have to turn it into something positive. And then if you can do affirmations, like 3 to 5 affirmations every day, like in the morning as you're getting ready, as you're driving to work, on your way home. It doesn't have to be just 2 or 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. It's gonna build up, and it's gonna make a difference. And then maybe you can start taking that negative and turning it into positive self-talk, and that positive self-worth. Wow. And that's going to really help you, change your perspective, mm-hmm. and possibly change your life. For me, affirmations are huge.
Yeah. So do you think affirmations actually play a role in what happens in our life, our attitude, whether if we can have a positive or an attitude of gratitude?
Well, definitely. And gratitude goes right along with affirmations. Mm-hmm. We have to be thankful for what we have. Mm-hmm. And it plays right into that. But definitely, it's a perspective. We talked about this on the last program, but it's your perspective. You're creating your own reality, and it's through your perspective based on your experiences. You can look at it through a negative lens, or you can look at it through a positive lens, as a learning experience and through a positive lens. And that's really going to shape the world around you and how people interact to your energy that you're giving off, your vibration. So it is definitely a major role. I know some people don't buy into the affirmations at all, mm-hmm. right? But then don't think of it as affirmations. Definitely, you need to be grateful and have thanks in your life. But don't think of it as affirmations. Think of it as positive internal self-talk.
Yeah. It's interesting because I remember many years ago, I read the book about positive talk, Norman Vincent Peale. What was it? The Power of Positive Thinking, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And, I've heard like prosperity, preachers say, if you just think good thoughts, then bad things won't happen to you. And we all know that bad things happen to good people. I mean, these things do happen in life. So I think maybe sometimes they'll say, well, these things don't work because bad things still happen. But what I've come to understand over the last several years is I've been trying to do as more of a practice, as you said earlier, it's really a matter of perspective. Because life is always a mix of, and I hate to use the labels good and bad, but it's what we as humans do. Life is always a mix of good and bad. So we can always choose whether we're going to look at how things are going well or how things are going poorly. And I feel like, I don't know if it's by my nature or by my background, my upbringing, I tend to look at what's wrong. I could, like someone said the other day, you hold up a white sheet of paper and there's a black dot on it. I'm the kind of person, the first thing I see is the black dot. So for me, it's really, nice to talk to someone like yourself that kind of encourages me to do this. And I have been for the last couple of years been doing a gratitude practice. So I get up every morning before I get out of bed, and I try to think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it's not the same 3 things. And I try to, make sure that that there's something that's I'm really truly have gratitude for. And I do find that does help.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey there, something I want to tell you about today. My podcast platform, Buzzsprout, has recently made it easier for me to allow you to support me financially. Go to www.grieftogrowth.com/subscribe. That's grief2growth.com/subscribe. And once you're there, you can sign up to support me financially. Now, you can do it for as little as $3 a month, or of course, as much as you'd like. If you do that, you'll get access to bonus episodes, and you'll see those in the regular feed. They'll have a lock on them. But when you become a subscriber, you'll actually get access to your own private feed, and you'll be able to listen to the regular podcast along with the bonus podcast for the subscribers. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for sharing the podcast. And I want to thank those of you who support me financially. Have a great day, and on to the episode.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. That's beautiful. And you said just 3 things every day, that you're thankful for. I'm thankful I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I had a warm blanket last night and I was safe.
Yeah.
There's so many things to be thankful for. You may be at rock bottom, but there's always something to be thankful for.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be big stuff, for me, being in a warm bed is such a great feeling. So like this morning, you said that, it's funny because more is like, it feels really good to be in a warm bed and be wrapped up in the blankets,
Yeah.
Or if I'm out for a walk, I'm happy for the fact that I can be out for a walk.
Right. That you're able to walk, and that you're able to enjoy that sunshine on your shoulder and the birds chirping. And there are really so many things that we can be thankful for clean water. There's so many people in the world that don't have clean water to drink.
Yeah.
So clean water in a safe place to come home to, and it's safe and it's comfortable. And, so there's so many things to be thankful for, but I truly believe it is perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if we can shift our perspective even just a little, take that challenging time, that challenging situation, because like you said, we're always going to have challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, my belief is, and this from our last conversation, is we sign up for these challenges because we're here to learn. We're here to expand, evolve, to grow our souls. So, we're going to put challenges in our way. And I know a lot of people will disagree with that. And a lot of people may get angry at that statement. But my belief is, we do that. We come into this life knowing that there's going to be certain challenges that we're going to overcome. If we can look at it from a perspective of, what am I grateful in this moment for?
Mm-hmm.
What can I take from this? What can I learn from this? My dad is a pedophile, a convicted pedophile. Mm-hmm. I had a challenging childhood. People ask me, well, how, what did you learn from that? What's positive about that? It's like, well, without that man in my life, without those traumatic experiences, I would not have learned self-love or self-worth, and most importantly, forgiveness. So I wouldn't be who I am today without those challenges. And I'm thankful that I had those experiences and that I'm able to look at that now, like I can step outside of it. And I can look at it from a learning perspective. And my past doesn't define me. It's my past. I learned from it and I moved on. And I've grown from it. And I'm a different person now because of it. So, you can take a challenging experience. And of course, it's not going to be overnight. You're going to have to go through those emotions. You're going to have to be angry. And you're going to have to be sad, and you're going to have to be in those moments to get those emotions out, work through it. And then you're going to have to heal. It can take a long time. It took me years and years to forgive my father.
Right.
So, it takes a long time. And there's still times, sometimes when there'll be a trigger and I know I have more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not able to just let it go, if it triggers me, I know that there's more internal work that I need to do. And so it's constant. It's not easy. Forgiveness is not easy. Looking at a challenging situation from a different perspective, maybe out of compassion or forgiveness or kindness, like trying to maybe put yourself in their position and why did this, what was going on with them to make them act out that way? What inside of them was so hurt? Just looking at it from a different perspective, possibly.
Yeah, I think that what you said is spot on, and I think sometimes when we say these things about affirmations and gratitude or something, people think, well, you're saying I can just bypass all the human emotions and just be happy all the time. And, in my situation, I deal with a lot of people whose children have passed away, have died, to use the common phrase. And, are you saying I should be grateful for the fact that my daughter died or my son died? And we're not saying that at all. What we're saying is over a period of time, we can learn to look for the blessings that have come from that, and we can choose how we respond to it. And that's really what it comes down to, is choosing, response. And I was speaking with someone yesterday, and his son was killed in an accident just a few months ago. And I'm telling you, it seems like everything's gone wrong for this guy. I was like, I hardly even knew what to say, because it's just a whole series of events. But even in those moments, he's a creative person. He's a painter. So he's like, I've got my painting, and he showed me some of his paintings, and his paintings are beautiful. And I said, well, maybe for right now, just focus on that, focus on what you're able to create. And so it's always a matter of choosing what we focus on, right? Choosing what we look at.
Yeah, taking that pain and despair and making it into something beautiful through his art.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And right there, I feel like you in that example was perfect, because you can have that perspective of a victim, right? Or you can choose to turn that situation into something more powerful. And by looking at it from a different perspective and trying to find the hidden blessings in there, you're taking back your power. You have control over how you react. So by taking back your power, you're going to be victorious. It's all about not giving your power away. You hold all of the power within yourself. So it's looking at it from a different perspective, not giving your power away, choosing how you react to it. You're taking that control back and taking back your power.
And that's the thing. I think it's a matter of, we can't control what happens to us, right? We can control how we respond to it.
Correct, our reaction.
And that we always have, a choice in. So yeah, I really like the way you put that. And so tell me about your book. So you said your book, does it have affirmations in it that we can practice?
It does. So the first half is my little synopsis, and the second half is all about affirmations and gratitude. Okay. Because again, they go hand in hand. I do feel like if you can really visualize, your affirmation, really visualize if you want more prosperity as far as financial prosperity, maybe visualize yourself like floating in a stream that's all of money. It's just money, right? And it's just floating into this pool, and you're just surrounded by all this money. And what does that money, feel like? And what does it smell like? And so if you can really like visualize what you're wanting, feel it, and then visualize what you're going to do with that. Like, what's important to you? Are you going to give to an organization, or are you going to buy a new car and see yourself in that new car? What does that new car look like, and what does it smell like, and how does it make you feel? So if you can really, and I know some people aren't visual that way, but if you can, just think about, or have a vision board, maybe possibly as well. But if you can really like try to take details of your affirmation, if you want more peace, you're sitting in a field, really, really feel that sunshine on your shoulder and smell those flowers and the vibrant colors and the birds and that light breeze going by, so if you can really put yourself into that affirmation, and then be thankful for that feeling, almost like you're already living that. Your vibration is going to go out there, and that's what you're going to attract, and that's what you're going to bring in. So it's the last part is all about the affirmations, and it starts with the 3 core affirmations, or from the messages that I received in my experience, which are, we are unconditionally loved. And I think, we forget that. We come here in this 3D world, and it's hard. And there are challenges, and we're conditioned, and we forget that we are loved. We are not alone. We may feel like it, we may feel unloved, but we are really always unconditionally loved. We're from love. That's what we're created out of. That's what we're created from, is love. So we're unconditionally loved. Everything's always as it's supposed to be, and everything will always be all right. Everything will always be okay. And so with those 3 affirmations, I turn those messages, I turn those into my 3 core affirmations. So I say those every morning. or as I'm driving to work, or, as I'm driving home, if I'm having a challenging moment, I just go right back to those affirmations, and I'll just say those in my head. And then, what I'm thankful for. So I always try to pair gratitude with an affirmation. So I'll say my affirmation, and then I'll say my gratitude towards that affirmation.
Yeah, it's really cool. As you were saying that, I was just thinking about like gratitude and affirmation, and I think of gratitude as like, okay, that's being in the moment and saying everything is, that's kind of everything is okay, right? Everything is as it should be, and being grateful for that. And then the affirmation is everything will be as it should be. So that's the affirmation going forward, and keeping both of those things in mind. Because I'm a worrier. So I'll just put it out. I have an issue with money. I've always had an issue with, like, am I going to have enough? And so I think, okay, in 20 years, do I have enough money to last me for 20 years? So I've been really working on, like, I have enough for today, right? I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years or 15 years, but just trying to really hold the attitude of, I have enough for today. And that's a challenge for me.
It is a challenge. Maybe take it like a step further and put yourself in it that you're right now, you are financially sound. You will be financially sound. So I am financially sound.
Yeah.
I am abundant. I am rolling in the dough. Mm-hmm. I am a billionaire. I am successful. I am an asset. I am is very, very powerful, and it's so simple. So if you're not able to visualize, yourself floating in a river of money, if that sounds too outlandish for you, that's just not the way that you see things, your perspective. Mm-hmm. I am, right? I am financially sound. Mm-hmm. I am, like a billionaire. Say that over and over again. I am a billionaire. Like, live in that truth. And I know it kind of sounds strange because you may not be a billionaire right now, mm-hmm. but you want that energy to go out because you want to attract that in. So the I am statements, I feel, are very powerful.
It's interesting. I've talked to several people now, and my background, I'm an engineer, so I still have this materialistic mindset. So I talked to so many people that have had near-death experiences, and they're like, thoughts are things. Thoughts are, at the very least, energy, and thoughts have power. And I think in our world, we think, thoughts are they come and they go, and they don't really mean anything. And I've heard so many people that have said, no, your thoughts have power. They can actually change reality. They can change another person's attitude. I was talking with a friend of mine who had an experience, and she said, if you hold a grudge against a person, not only does it affect, you, but it affects that other person too, because it slightly shifts their karma or whatever. And they'll become more like the feeling the thoughts you're putting out to them. And when she said that to me, I was like, wow, that's really powerful. Our thoughts are a lot more powerful than we realize.
It's true. I mean, everything is energy. Everything is a vibration. So, it affects you. You walk into a room and you can feel if there's someone arguing, right? Like, you can feel a shift, or you walk into a situation where something traumatic just happened, right? You drive past an accident on the interstate. Immediately your energy shifts because of that emotion that's coming from that event that just happened. Yeah. You can feel it. It's energy, it's vibration, and it ripples out, it ripples out like a water drop, you pour a drop of water, a raindrop, in that puddle, it ripples out. The wind, it blows and it ripples out. It's this ripple effect, and you can feel it. We're energy. We're vibration. We're made up of this. That's where we come from, is this beautiful, warm energy, light, vibration, that is love, that is God. And it affects, it does. You may not think it, but it does. I used this example last time, but if I'm in the car and somebody cuts me off and I'm like, I'm sending that energy out towards that person, mm-hmm. and it's going to affect that person one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, from what I understand, some of it comes back to us too. So we think we're just targeting them, and some of it's coming back to us. So definitely. I think it's really important for us to try to keep in mind, and that we're a lot more connected than we realize we are. And as you said that about driving past an accident, I was reminded, I was coming back not too long ago from North Carolina. We passed like a major accident, and you could see when we got there that, the EMTs had just gotten there, and it just happened. And yeah, you just get this feeling that, there's something. I mean, obviously you can see there's something wrong, but there's a feeling that you can feel in your body that I always thought was maybe empathy, but maybe it's an actual energy.
Yeah, I mean, it's palpable, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's a feeling, it's a palpable feeling. Something happened. You're feeling that dread, that fear, that helplessness, all those emotions at one time. It's like it hits you. You feel that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if we can focus on trying to put more positivity into the world, it'll help us and help others as well. So
spread the love, spread the kindness, right? Do one kind act a day. Smile at somebody, even a simple smile. It amazes me when I'm at work and I walk in and I smile at somebody and they just look at me. And it's like, why wouldn't you take the time just to smile at someone? Let's be nice. Let's open the door and let's say thank you and let's say please. Let's just be kind to each other.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, not at all. No, and I think that, again, that's a really excellent point, because I think we take for granted, or we don't realize how important it can be to smile at someone. And it reminds me of a story. I was out walking one day, and I was actually doing my gratitude practice, and for some reason I love sunshine, and I live in Ohio, so that doesn't match up. But I love sunshine. I'm out walking. It was a gray day. It was cold. It wasn't quite raining, but it was just totally overcast. And I had this thought, it's a beautiful day. And I'm like, why would I think it's a beautiful day? Because the day was objectively not beautiful. And I thought, why did I have this thought? So then I started thinking about this song called "It's a Beautiful Day" by Queen. I thought, this is my silent part of my walk. So I thought, when I finish the silent part of my walk, I'm going to listen to this song. So I'm walking along, and there's a woman that lives on this street that I walk past. I walk past her house every day, and they hardly ever talk to me. It's a woman, and I think her mother, and she's got 2 little kids she's taking to the bus stop. So they usually don't say anything to me, and I don't say anything to them. And the older woman looks at me, and she said, "It's a beautiful day." And I looked at her, I was like, I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "Isn't it a beautiful day?" And I'm like, the exact same words I was just thinking. And I thought, that is really weird, because first of all, she never speaks to me. And secondly, it's not a beautiful day. So it was just, and I keep thinking about that. I'm like, okay, did I put the thought in her head? Was it a coincidence? Was it a synchronicity? What was going on there? But it really impacted me. This happened like a month ago, and I keep thinking about it.
Oh, definitely synchronicity, right? Definitely validation of what you were thinking. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
So I think for me, I think that was a lesson of the power of thought and the power of, and I'm like, did I put that thought into her mind? Did she reflect it back to me? Did I anticipate what she was going to say to me? But it was really, an interesting moment. And so I'm looking for more things like that. And that's why, like I said, this gratitude practice, if I don't remember to do it before I get out of bed, when I go on my walk, I'll do it. And sometimes, it's 3 things, and sometimes I just keep going, because it's like, I'll just have a day. And I do face, a lot of challenges, like we all do. My daughter passed away, as you know. You've gone through all your challenges. So I don't want people to look at it and say, oh, well, if things are going well, then it's easy to do this. It's actually when things aren't going well that it's actually more important to do it.
Definitely. And even when things are going well, to continue to do it.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to fall back into old patterns. You want to break those. So even when you're feeling so content and so thankful and so stress-free, you still want to make sure that you're giving thanks, having that gratitude and making sure that little habit stays a habit, and you're saying your affirmations. But yeah, really important as well in those bad times and in the good times, to have that perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is. And so what I want to do, we wanted to make this, kind of a short episode. We wanted to just throw in a little bonus. But after we got off camera last time, you told me a story about your mother's passing. And I just saw, even in the worst situations, there can be something beautiful. So I would like for you to share that with us if you could.
Oh, yeah, of course. So my mom passed away in 2011. She had a brain aneurysm. I received a call one night from my stepfather saying that my mom had had a stroke and she had 2 days to 2 weeks to live. And I remember arguing with him because I knew that people that had strokes recover. So I'm just like, what do you mean 2 days to 2 weeks? And, and he says like, look, he's like, you need to make plans and get here as soon as possible. And I need you to call your siblings. I can't do it. He was very stern with me, and I knew in that moment. So I got on a plane the next day. I flew to Colorado. I was at the hospital. I walked into the room, and because the aneurysm, the bleed was so massive, there was nothing that they could do. So she wasn't on any life support or anything. She was just, her body was breaking down. And that's traumatic. I don't know if you've ever been around somebody that's their body is shutting down, but there's noises and it's just, and to see them that way. And so that was an initial shock, but I had this feeling that I just needed to be by her side. And I needed to be touching her, so I would have my hand on her arm, or I would be holding her hand, but my mother had these most amazing blue eyes. I can't really even describe the color, just this amazing, beautiful, light blue color of eyes. And I just remember praying and saying, please open your eyes, open your eyes. I want to see your eyes one more time, Mom. I want to see your eyes. And 2 days later, she passed away. But during that time, that first night when I was in and out of sleep, I had two visions. And the first vision was of this field of like purple flowers and these hills in the background. And then the second vision was the hand of God reaching down to me. And I knew in that moment that we were where we were supposed to be. We were protected, we were looked over, we were loved, and that when my mom went home, they were going to be there for her. And I knew that. So I had a peace come over me and a calmness come over me in that moment. And it's interesting because that next morning, there was this book on dying. We were in hospice, and I went and I opened up that book, and the first page I opened up was the exact vision that I saw of that field. Wow. With the flowers. So immediately I knew then, again, that was another validation that we were watched over, we were protected, we were loved, it was going to be okay. She was going home and it was going to be okay. I knew this, but again, when it's your own flesh and blood and you're in that moment, even after my experience, my near-death experience, it's still hard. You're still human. That physical loss of that person. That's not going to be there every day that you can call and talk to and touch. So that was just validation that, yes, it's okay. And you're going to see her again. It's going to be okay. So that was huge. But when my mom did pass away, I will never, ever forget the moment that she passed away. So she's laying down in her bed. She actually sat up with her arms up, and she was looking towards the heaven. She opened her eyes, and I got to see my prayer. I got to see her eyes one more time. She lifted up. She opened her eyes, and then she went peacefully back down, closed her eyes, and took her last breath. And that was it. Wow. And I got to see her leave and go home, and I got to see her eyes, and it was beautiful. I mean, yes, I was sad. I can cry now talking about it, because to me, not that she's gone. I mean, I miss her, but she's around me all the time, and we talk. But that. The fact that I was privy, I was given that miracle to witness, to view that. That's what is so beautiful to me. It was, I got to see that, and I got to witness that, and I got to be there for that. It was beautiful, and it was validating.
And that's an amazing attitude of gratitude. I mean, that's an amazing way to look at something that we, from a human perspective, we would say is tragic. The passing of your mother, but to look at it from the perspective of what you were able to witness, and to know that your mother is okay, and have that perspective. It's a matter of choice. I can look at it this way, or I can look at it that way. So I really, really appreciate you sharing that. Remind me again of the name of your book before we go. I want to make sure everybody knows.
Oh, no, but it's a long title. It's called Messages from Heaven, The Little Book of Affirmations, based on the true story of a near-death experience and the messages received. I even have to look at it to give you the title.
So it's by Heidi Craig, and it's available on Amazon. So yeah, it sounds like a great book. And if you're just getting started in this, like I am, it might be a good way to get started, to give yourself some discipline to start doing this type of practice. It's
a really, really, really simple read, and hopefully my experience will give you hope.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely.
And so yeah. So thank you for talking about this today. I really appreciate it. Again, affirmations have changed my life, and it's taken a long time. Mm-hmm. And it is daily, constant, that I have to work on it and work on forgiveness and work on self-love and that negative chatter, that negative self-talk. But I do it.
Yeah, exactly. Heidi, great. It's been great seeing you again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Brian, so much.
Bye. Thanks for listening. This has been your host, Brian Smith, with another episode of Grief to Growth. I am a life coach and a grief partner. If you're interested in my services, please go over to www.grieftogrowth.com. It's www.grief2growth.com. And there you can sign up for a free half-hour consultation if you're interested. Also, please leave me a review on iTunes. That helps more people find the podcast and gets me out to a wider audience. And lastly, if you'd like to support me financially, I do have a Patreon page. So it's www.patreon, that's patreon.com/grief2growth.com. If you support me on Patreon, you get access to bonus materials, which I'll be putting out on a regular basis. Thanks a lot. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hi there. I hope you enjoyed this latest episode of the podcast, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. What questions came up for you? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? I invite you to visit us at grieftogrowth.circle.so. That's grief2growth.circle.so to continue the conversation with me and with other listeners. It's a space to sound off, to share reactions, and to go deeper into the topics from the show. I look forward to chatting more, and I hope to see you there.